What's up, everybody? This is Coach MJ, and welcome to another episode of Entrepreneurial Coffee Break Convos. In this series, I talk to friends and acquaintances of mine who are in the entrepreneurial space to see what's going on in their businesses and what gems they can share with us about what to do, what not to do, and how their journey has been. And today I'm really excited because this is one of my newer friends, somebody I met via LinkedIn several months ago. She is in the real estate space. She is a real estate mentor. Specifically, she helps corporate women to stop living paycheck to paycheck using real estate investing. And so her name is Dana Spencer. She is out of Louisville, Kentucky. And so without further ado, welcome to Entrepreneurial Coffee Break Combos. What's up, Dana?
Thank you. Thank you, Coach MJ, for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
I love it. So like I said, we just met several months ago, but our paths might have crossed during our years at the ubiquitous employer here in the area, Humana. We joke that if you ain't never worked at Humana, are you really from here? Do you really live here? So tell us, okay, let's start you from Humana. So tell us about that. And then how did you end up in real estate?
Absolutely. So there was one year in particular that my leaders, my supervisors, my managers were taking the buyout. And so at that time, if you were 55 years of age and you were ready to retire, then the company was offering you an X amount of money in order to leave the company and to retire early. And I clearly remember thinking, when I turn 55, I want to be in a position to take the buyout if I wanted to. So at the time, I called my mortgage company to see when my loan was going to be paid off. It was going to be paid off in 2027. I'll be 55 in 2025. And then I was like, whatever they give me, that should be enough to cover the difference. But then I met a lady that said retirement is a number, not an age. So that began.
Yes. Okay.
That began the journey of what's my number? What's the monthly amount of money that I need to receive passively every single month to cover my expenses? And then I can retire when I want to retire. So that began my journey of, let me start investing in real estate. And that is going to help me to decide when I want to retire and when I don't want to retire. So that's how my journey began.
Wow. I love that. You saw me get visibly excited. Retirement is a number, not an age. Put a 1 in the chat if that's a mind blow for you, that it's not about being 60, 65 or whatever number it is. If you're waiting on Social Security, the number going to be in the 80s before it's too long, but instead it's a number. So you want to be in a position to take a buyout if it ever came up and you called your mortgage company. Okay, so then what happened? So you didn't get the buyout, or did you? Did that ever happen?
No, I didn't. Okay. And so it's funny because this is full circle for me because I actually will be 55 this year. But however, I started investing in real estate in 2021. And so I remember thinking, if I do 4 or 5 of these a year, I can replace my corporate salary. So that just began my journey of getting started investing in real estate. My boss at the time, they brought somebody in, as corporate does, instead of promoting from within. Now I have a new supervisor who knows nothing about me, knows nothing about what I am pursuing. And I was in the midst of real estate at the time. He started talking slick and I said, you know what? I'm out.
Talking nickel slick. What? Listen, and what I love about that, Dana, is that when you set yourself up right, you have those options. That's what wealth is really about. I tell people all the time, we want to denigrate rich people, they're bad people. Money is just a tool to give you options, so you have choices. The people that say, I'm not all about money, I don't need money, they spend more of their time thinking about money because they got to do that to survive. But when you have options, because you're not making every decision based off, can I afford it? What is it? As soon as you think about it, anytime somebody wants to go on vacation or buy a car, everything we do, most people have to stop and say, can I afford it? Or can I take the time? When you have money, you can use your time the way you want to. I love that. So he got to talking nickel slick and you was like, holla at your girl.
Holla. And I love what you said about options. And I say that about real estate. Real estate gives you options. I have one property where my son moved back into Louisville, and that property was vacant at the time. He was able to stay in my property until he was able to buy his own house. He didn't have to sign a lease. We didn't have to finagle or pay
Check,
keeping out
all
his.
that.
It gave him options. And so
Yeah.
that's what I want. I want to be able to have options for myself, as well as my family, as well as my beautiful nieces who are in South Carolina in terms of options. You know, I can go to South Carolina for a week and help my nephew's wife out because the flexibility and the options that real estate brings. So I am pro real estate for everybody. I'm pro for women. I'm pro for men. Everybody needs to own some real estate.
So let's go back. Before I'm gonna stick a pin in there, go back. You said if I do 4 or 5 of these a year, what do you mean specifically? Is it rentals? Is it flips? What were you doing?
Great question. So there was this strategy. So I bought a property. So let me give you some numbers because I know we like numbers. I bought a property for $30,901. It's in the West End of Louisville. Stop being afraid of the West End, but that's a whole nother story for a whole nother
talk
day.
about that.
Bought a property for $30,901.
Okay.
Put $82,000 in it for renovation. And my original strategy was I was going to have it as a short-term rental. A short-term rental meaning someone stays there for more than 24 hours, but less than 30 days.
Like your Verbos, Airbnbs.
Yes.
Like Verbos, Airbnbs and stuff.
Exactly. Okay. But then I changed my strategy to, I was going to flip it. I said, you know what? I'm just going to sell it and get the money out of it. But then I was on a call with an organization, shout out to Master Builders Academy, where we were talking in particular, and John Mays, shout out to John Mays. He was saying that when you sell the property, that's when you pay capital gains taxes. But if you do what they call a cash out refinance and pull the equity out, you don't pay taxes on that money because you didn't sell it. So I was able to pull out $30,000 from that deal to continue to do whatever else I wanted to. At the time, I ended up paying back my contractor, and I still own the property. So I bought it, renovated it, refinanced it, and I can rent it out. I can rent it out. And I still own the property and pulled out 30 grand.
Okay. Now we're going to talk after this. That may be what I have to do with mine when I'm ready to skedaddle. I'm going to have to do something like that.
Then that house at that time, I think it appraised for, I think 145 or 150. Now, so that was in 2021. Now, if I were to put that property on the market, I could easily put it on the market for somewhere between $185,000 and $200,000.
And if I heard you correctly, you bought it for 30, put 82 in. So you was just at 112, and now it's worth these numbers, what you're talking about now. So wow. Okay. So what do you call that strategy? That what did you call it? You get the
they call it the BRRRR. They call it the BRRRR method, where you buy, you renovate, you refinance, and some people say repeat. Okay. In my case, I held the property and I can rent it out.
When you rent it, that's your R.
Yeah,
so I don't have to renovate mine. It's already here, so I don't need to do the BRRRR without that part. But okay, that's so good.
You can pick which letters you want to do.
Right. Just buy and do the other, not renovate, but do the other thing. That's so smart because like I was telling you before, I'm trying to figure out what I buy, what I rent when I'm ready to move from this space. I think sometimes people think that renting your house out is a hassle. I mean, I guess there's always a hassle. You have to choose your hard in life. There's always something that's a hassle. Selling is hard. Renting it out is hard. Not having it at all is hard. So what is
not having options is hard. Like define your hard.
Right. Not having options is hard. And so, okay. So where did you learn? Okay. What did I stick a pin in? Oh, I forgot. I forgot what I was going to say. Okay. So you started out doing the short-term rentals, and then you moved into the long-term rentals, essentially.
Yeah, I changed my strategy. Instead of doing the short-term rental, I went ahead and got a long-term Section 8 tenant in the property.
Okay, so at this point, you weren't a realtor. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so how did you end up saying, "Hey, I'm gonna get my real estate license and then buy and sell homes that way"?
So my mom had a property in South Louisville. Okay. And her property manager quit.
Okay.
And so I reached out to a couple of property management companies and I couldn't find anybody to manage her property. And so I felt like the Lord was telling me that he wanted me to start my own property management company. He gave me the scripture, he gave me the names. And
Okay.
so I was on a call and they were saying, is Kentucky one of those states where you have to have your broker's license in order to manage other people's property? And
And
I
you
was
said
like,
that.
I don't know. So
See,
I
that's
called the commission or something, and it is. Kentucky is a state where, in order to manage somebody else's property, you're supposed to have your broker's license. And in order to have your broker's license, you have to get your real estate license. So that is why I got my real estate license again, was because of my belief that God wants me to start a property management company.
So that's what's the name of it? Is just, what is it? I have it
So
somewhere.
my business is Just in Time, the number 4502. Just in Time for 502.
502. I love that. I love that. So do you do a lot of property management this time, or is it just a few here and there? How do you promote that a lot?
Well, and you have to be a real estate agent for 2 years before you can become a broker.
Oh, that's right. So with your mom's property, then you ended up having to get somebody else to do it. But that's just what triggered you to start the
That's
process.
what
Got it.
triggered to
Got
start me to get my real estate license, because I have my real
Okay.
estate license in 2002 through
Okay.
2006, and I couldn't make it work financially, and I almost lost my own house. So my own house went into foreclosure
Okay.
because I couldn't make it work financially. What people don't understand is when you're a real estate agent, we don't get paid until we get to the closing table. So when we driving you around
Doing
Louisville and
all of
showing
that.
you houses and taking you to lunch, and we don't get paid for any of that. And
Yeah.
so I needed about 2 closings to stay afloat financially, and it just didn't work out.
Because
And
it can take
so
months to get there. I mean, you get a person, it might take them 2 or 3 months of looking at houses, or if someone's selling a house, it takes 2 or 3 months, or however long it takes. And
and
then sometimes
they wanna wait, and they lose their job, and they end up buying furniture and can't afford the house. I mean, there's so many scenarios as to why you don't get to the closing table. And you have to work with multiple people at the same time in order to have multiple closings in a month to stay afloat financially. And so the crazy part is I used to work for Bank of America Mortgage in the foreclosure department. So I was a foreclosure specialist. So it kind of hurt me because I knew how much time I had. I knew they wouldn't start the foreclosure until I was at least 4 months behind. So I would play around with it. I would get commission check, and then I would catch up, and this and the other. And finally, it just caught up with me. But praise the Lord, at the time when I finally stopped allowing the pride to stop me from letting people know, you know what, I need some help. I reached out to my mom, and she had just cashed in some stock or something, and she was able to help me to get out of foreclosure. And I still have that house today. So that house, I paid $89,000 for it.
Okay.
It was in a state. It was an ugly house in a really nice neighborhood. That same house today is worth over $220,000 if I wanted to sell it. So
And it's
once
one of your
again,
rentals.
it's one of my rentals. That one has a long-term tenant. So once again, real estate gives you options. And you like, why would you go back into real estate and you almost lost your house? Because things happen. But real estate is still good, and real estate gives you options. So just because you make one mistake one time or something don't go right for you, it doesn't mean that that thing is bad. Maybe you need to tweak your strategy and do things a little bit differently. But there are certain things that are not bad, but we think that they're bad because we had one bad experience. That's not always the case.
It's and to hear people that have that, like, why would you go back into it? It's like when you started out, like, real estate it's a sales job, right? It takes a while to build up your network and build up your list of clients and your reputation and all that. Of course, no money's going to be coming in. Most people started part-time while they have a job. That doesn't mean that there's anything wrong, because there's plenty of people balling. I can't even imagine the timeline that commercial real estate agents deal with, because you're talking about properties that can sit empty for years and years, because how many people are starting businesses that need that property? So they have to have even more of a, I don't even know, planning, runway, or other irons in the fire, because they might sell a property for $3 million, but it took them 5 years to get there. It's like, I don't know. I guess if you plan very well, you can do it. But so what would you tell a person that's thinking about real estate or a similar type of sales-based role, how to get into, like you said, I didn't get into it the right way, and so I wasn't able to make it do financially. If you could do it over again, what would you do differently to become a realtor?
Yeah, that's a great question. The there are several number ones. I guess I can't say number one. The main thing is realizing that everybody's not your client.
Mm.
Just because you need, because you know how it is. Oh, I need to work with everybody. Well, no, everybody is not your client. And then understanding that you have to be able to deal with rejection,
Mm-hmm.
because what my broker tells me is that out of 100 people, let's say you reach out to 100 people, let's say you give 100 people your business cards. Out of 100 people, 10 of them might respond to you. And out
Mm-hmm.
of those 10, 9 have bad credit. So
That's the other thing, man. People be wanting houses, but wanting ain't getting.
won't ain't getting. So
Gotta
1 out of 100. So just think about the rejection that goes along with that. How
Yeah.
many people you have to reach out to in order to even get those numbers to where you have several closings a month in order to stay afloat financially.
Yeah.
So real estate is definitely not for the weary.
Yeah.
So, like I said, you have to be willing to accept rejection, hearing all of those no's, and still reaching out to people and still having a desire to want to help people to get a house. It can't just be, like you said, it can't just be a sales job because you'll quit.
Yeah.
It's hard work,
Yeah.
and you understand the benefits of real estate. And then you want everybody in Louisville to understand. Check out this statistic.
Okay.
10% of Black women in Louisville own their own house. That's 1 out of 10. Only 1 out of 10 Black women in Louisville own their own house. So that's a mindset. So
Yeah.
having to help people to understand why it's so important to buy a house, and the fact that rents keep going up and up and up, and you're currently renting in the West End, but you don't want to buy in the West End, whereas potentially that's the only place you can afford, but you want to stay in this rent situation, and landlords are selling the houses and kicking you out, and now you got to find some place to live, and you want to continue that cycle. So it's helping people to understand the importance of home ownership, as
Mhm.
well as I would be more afraid to continue to rent than to be afraid to buy a house.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's a perspective shift. I mean, when you think about, like I said, when I okay, so before I bought my first house, not this one, but the last house, I was living in a duplex, and it was owned by a man and his wife. He owned one, and then one across the street, and she owned the duplex next door. And I remember he sold the duplexes, his two, right as I was about to move. Before I told him I was about to move, he sold it to some guy. I think he was new to real estate, so he was excited that he had, I think at the time, 4 great paying customers or whatever. And right after they closed, I gave notice that I was moving. And he was so disappointed because, when you're investing in real estate, it's attractive. I'm sure my former landlord was like, yeah, I got this duplex. These people pay on time, and there's 4 of them, and it's already occupied. And I moved. And I feel like somebody else was about to move too. But yeah, it's tough. But I was just thinking, as you were saying, staying in the West End and renting. I had a great aunt who's, of course, deceased at this point, but she rented a house on Northwestern Parkway for 30 plus years, the same house. So, she paid the mortgage multiple times. I don't even know who owned the house. And I don't know what her situation was, why she never bought it, but she lived in the same place for 30 years. So at some point you feel like that was really your house, but it wasn't. People feel more comfortable with renting than with buying. I think it's a perspective shift. People think, oh, it's a lot to take care of. It depends. I mean, it depends. A lot of people, landlords aren't fixing stuff. So
That part.
right. So, and listen, my baby girl, she lives in one of these fancy highfalutin apartments. Hey, Mia, she pays more for rent than I pay for my mortgage. And that's fine. That's where she is in her life and in her career. But it's just like like you said, the rents are going up. So if you literally are paying a mortgage to rent, like
You
my
really
house
are.
probably would rent for $2,500. I ain't going less than that. Up. It's a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath house. I'm not renting for less than that. So why pay? Buy it if you can. If you can. So, what would you say to a person? You said 9 out of 10 has bad credit sometimes. What would you say to a person that's looking to get into real estate investing, but their credit might be shaky? Maybe they have a house already, maybe they don't, but their credit's kind of whack. Are there any strategies or types of investing you can do if your credit's not up to par, or yikes?
I mean, you can partner with somebody potentially that has good
Okay.
credit. So maybe you don't have good credit and you get the knowledge on how to invest in real estate, and
Mhm.
maybe they have good credit, and you utilize their money, because everybody doesn't want to take the time to get the knowledge to understand how to invest in real estate. So
Right.
more than likely, if you have a whole lot of money, you probably don't have a whole lot of time, and you're willing to allow your money to work for you
Yeah.
and let somebody else do the
Hmm.
real estate investing. So
Yeah.
potentially, if you have bad credit, you know, meet up with somebody, build relationships, and get you a partner who has good credit. And then at the end of the day, let's work on our credit. So many people tell me that
Let's
they
not make it a
have bad
lifestyle.
credit.
It's a lifestyle. They just accept it. It's like
Yeah, just
you
like
can
a
fix
tattoo
it.
or something. Like, let's let's work on it. So just a couple of things to work on your credit. Number one, we gotta start saying no to ourselves. We say yes to ourselves far too many times. Break up with Amazon. Like, you and Amazon are in a bad relationship, and just
He's
just break up.
abusing you,
Just,
girl. He's
just go your
abusing
separate ways. Say no. Stop shopping so much. Stop telling yourself yes. And then, how about this tax refund? If you are getting a tax refund, how about use that in order to get started investing in real estate?
you.
And maybe if you have bad credit, if you have a 401k, if you have a retirement savings plan with your company, one of the
Mhm.
things that I did with that property that I was telling you all about, in order to have the down payment, I
Mhm.
took a loan against my 401k.
Mhm.
And then when you take a loan from your 401k, you're paying yourself back.
Right.
And so that just worked for me.
That's
And
so true.
that money is over there. They are using your money to invest. They probably buying real estate with your money. But
Definitely. Yeah. Banks do it. Everybody's, yeah.
you want to diversify your retirement portfolio, because it's very hard to save $1 million. That was the goal. Save $1 million with your 401k. It's hard to do that.
You do that with a
And we
girl.
don't even know if $1 million is going to last us during our retirement.
Million is not millioning like you used
Million
to.
is not
Million is
the
not,
million that it was 20 years ago.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's diversify our
Mhm.
retirement portfolio. Have
Yeah.
you some stock, but have you some real estate too. And if you call the people and ask them what your balance is, they are going to try to scare you
Mhm.
from taking out some money from your 401k. Don't let them
Yes.
scare you.
Let
You
them
need
scare
to diversify your retirement portfolio, because the real estate is going to outlast your 401k.
you. We saw 401ks take a hit. Was that in '08? When people were literally refreshing their screen? I was still a human. People were refreshing and just watching it drop, drop, drop in
Wow.
real time because the stock market was crashing. Real estate, even when home values go up and down, they always are going up. You can't get a house for what you get $5,000 houses they were selling in the 1920s. That prices are gone, so we know it's going up. Even if it dips back down, it goes back up and dips a little bit. It's still steady climbing, so it's actually a better investment a lot of times in the stock market, which is woo up
People are
down
going to always need a place to stay. We're going to
always.
always need a place to stay.
Always, it's recession proof. You
Yes.
got it. Maybe it's slow. Maybe they change interest rates and fewer people are buying, or more people. But people ultimately have to live somewhere. It's not a whole bunch of people outside of van lifers who are saying, "I'm just going to live outside. I'm just not going to have a place to live." Says almost no one. So that's amazing. So in this season, you tell them who's the broker you're with as a real estate agent, in case they're here in Louisville and they need someone to
Yeah,
represent.
I'm with Infinite Homes Realty. My broker is Chantel Newton.
Oh,
And the reason why I chose her, I mean, she's a beast. Multiple streams of income, multi-millionaire. And this is some I'm look, and I have her on my podcast. I'm not telling anything about her business that she hasn't
yeah.
already said on the
And
Daily
I put it
Show.
all out there.
Yeah. So she's got multiple streams of income. And every October, I think this is just genius. Every October, she looks at all of her profit. And
Mhm.
then in October, she looks at all of her profit from all of her businesses and then buys a piece of real estate with cash
Yes, Queen.
every year.
I'm behind
So,
her.
yes,
I can get
I'm
behind
like, I
her.
can learn a couple, two, three things from her.
So that's what she does with her profits, not just go blow it or do more of the
All
same in
out.
businesses. Yeah.
Yes.
We got to learn, and I've heard who says this. I think Dr. Myron Golden says, I'm sure other people say it, the purpose of the purpose of using money is to make more money. That's basically what he's saying. Obviously you spend it for life and all that, but it can't be the first thing. The first purpose of it, when you get a lump sum, I'm having to train myself that as well. You get a lump sum, it's not even just saving it, invest it. Saving, if you just think about keeping it in a sock, that's not doing anything for you. It's just losing value. Putting it in the bank at 0.0000001%, while they're getting the rest of it, because your bank invests your money. That's why they're able to give you crumbs in the savings account, because they're making a lot of money on your money. Instead of putting it there, put it into something that's going to grow, and real estate is that. So what other words of wisdom do you have for our entrepreneurs as we wrap it up? I love realtors. I love it. You guys are some brave folks.
Well, and so with you saying entrepreneurs, that opened up another can of worms for me. So yeah. Chances are, if you're a beautician or you're a barber or whatever, you potentially might be renting space for your business, and you're renting for your house. So if you don't have the tax deductions, now I'm no accountant, I'm no professional accountant. I do have an accounting degree, but I'm not an accountant. Chances are you are paying too much in taxes because you don't have a write-off. So my words of wisdom to you is, if you are an entrepreneur and you have a business, strongly consider buying real estate so that you have the write-off, so you can reduce your taxable income. What if you were to buy a building and your business was on the first floor and you lived on the second floor? Back in the day when we used to come get our hair straightened, they did it in the living room. This isn't a new strategy. It's just something that we used to do back in the day. And I know people are like, well, I don't want to live in the same place where I do business. Temporary. Do it for a couple of years. Get that equity, pull it out, and go buy you the house that you want, so that you have multiple properties. That increases your net worth. When you don't have any property, you don't own land, you don't have any net worth. Just think, if you were to play the game of Monopoly, you rolling the dice, you landing on other people's property. It's like you play a Monopoly without buying property. How quick are you going to be out the game?
Quick. They're going to take all your money for rent.
Because that's all you're doing. You just rolling the dice and landing on everybody else's property and paying them up. Buy you some property yourself, so that you can be in control, so that you can have the options to live the life that you want to live. That's what we all trying to do, right? Whether you want to live our best life, live your best life.
Where can they get a hold of that course you have out there? You have some courses. I remember when I saw you last, you had a course you have. Where can they get that? I'm gonna put the website on the screen.
Yeah, so CoachDanaSpencer.com, CoachDanaSpencer.com. That's my website. Okay. My course is the Financial Freedom Cheat Code, where I literally teach you how to do the strategy that I was telling you about earlier. And I show you how to run the numbers. That's the biggest thing, is people don't understand how to run the numbers. The old timers say you make your money when you buy. You have to buy low enough and not over renovate the neighborhood. If your property is in a $150,000 neighborhood, you can't put $200,000 into it. Now you've over renovated your property. So I show you how to do that. I show you how the importance of having multiple exit strategies. I show you how to understand the numbers so that you don't lose out.
And this is all in the Financial Freedom Cheat Code?
The Financial Freedom Cheat Code. It's an online course. It's a website. It's videos. It's bite-sized pieces of information, because I know we can't take in a lot of information. They're short videos, and I just walk you through the process, and you get access to the flight assessment that is going to help you to understand your behavioral preferences and how they're going to show up when you start investing in real estate.
I love it. Dana, thank you so much for being with us on our Coffee Break Convo today. This was amazing. This actually inspired me to get, because I hadn't thought about real estate in a long time. And outside of living in a house, I hadn't thought about using it as an investment strategy. This has really got my wheels turning. So I'm going to sit you over in the studio and close it out. And I'll be right back. Guys and gals, did you hear what she said? The BIRD strategy: buy, renovate, get your money out of it or do whatever it is. I don't know what it is. You got to ask her what it is. But CoachDanaSpencer.com. But what we have to do as entrepreneurs is really see ourselves not only as a brand, which is what I talk about a lot, it's what I teach about, but also as a source. Your money has to be able to work for you. You have to see yourself as see yourself as a revenue stream. See yourself as one of your many revenue streams. But real estate is where it's at. Stock market might be doing this, but homes are doing this. The prices are going up, 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 and we want to make sure that we are in good shape. And also, if you're thinking about being a realtor, just know that your network and all that, you have to kind of build those things up. And so real estate, selling it, investing in it is still a great opportunity. You just have to prepare yourself and know what you're up against. So that's going to do it for this Entrepreneurial Coffee Break Convo. Please share this episode, comment below, like all the things, subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and we will see you